In your C program, if you include this header file, string.h, then you can use all these really neat C-string methods. In this video, I'm going to talk about 4 of those: strlen, strcomp, strcopy, and strcat. So let's briefly talk about what they're doing here. So strlen takes in a pointer to a string, so that this is a car star, and it just basically gives you the number of characters that are in the string. And strcomp basically compares the string that are stored in these 2 variables. And strcopy takes all the characters in the source string and then puts it into the destination string. And strcat, on the other hand, takes all the characters in the source and puts it at the end of the destination string. Since C string is basically an array of characters and we don't really know how many characters there are in the C string, these library methods have another version of it which takes into account the number that you want to play with. So for strcomp, you have strncomp, and strcopy, strncopy, and you also have strncat. So you basically pass in another argument, which is an integer, and in this case, for strncomp, it will only compare n characters in those 2 strings. And in this case, it will only take n characters from the source and put it into destination. And in this case, it will take n characters from the source and put it at the end of the destination. Okay, now let's look at how we can actually use these methods. First of all, the return value of strcomp is either of these 3. It can be either a positive integer, or a 0, or a negative integer. It returns a positive number when S1 comes after S2 in lexicographic order, and it returns 0 when S1 is equal to 0. S1 is equal to S2. And it returns a negative number when S1 comes before S2. Okay, now let's look at this example. So we are declaring 2 strings, cat and doggy, and they're going to look like this in the memory. Note that we have a null character at the end of the both strings, because that signifies the end of a C string. So now let's try strlen S1 first. So what this method does is basically it counts all the characters in the string before it reaches the first null character. So we're basically going to C first, and then we stop here before the first null character. So that gives us 3. And strcomp S1, S2, that's comparing cat and doggy. And so we look at the first character first. There's C and D. And since C comes before D, this is going to return a negative number. Now we have strncomp S2, dog, and 3. So we're just looking at the first 3 characters. Since the first 3 characters of S2 is dog, which is the same as dog here, it's going to return a 0. Strcopy S2, S1. So in this case, S1 is the source and S2 is the destination. So we're taking the string from S1, which is cat, and putting it into S2. So if we do this, we're basically taking CAT and then putting it in right here. CAT. Now we have strcat S2, S1. So what we do here is we take the string in S1, which is cat again, and then we put it at the end of cat GY, which is S2 right now. So we go to the null character and remove this null character, and then put cat over here. Okay, now we're going to consider these 2 cases, and they're quite interesting. So if we look at strcopy S1, S2, now S2 is the source and S1 is the destination. And it's interesting because the length of the string that's inside S2 is much longer than what we can hold in S1, right? We only have 4 characters here, but S2 is actually 8 characters. So when we do this, C doesn't really care about like what actually happens in the memory. It will just simply replace everything with what we gave it. So what happens is actually we're going to ignore the boundary between these strings, and we're going to put cat, gy, cat, and then null character. So that's what happens. So now when we refer to S2 that has a bogus string, which is gy cat, and that's kind of weird, right? So in order to prevent this case, that's why we have str n copy. We're going to do something like this. And in this case, the strlen S1 was 3 before, right, when it was cat. And we're just going to copy 3 characters from S2 and put it into S1. And if we do that, then we can prevent this kind of disaster.